Hello and good afternoon. How are you doing? Um, so, this is my final post election roundup from the June 24th, 2023 elections, which happened exactly 1 week ago in Sierra Leone. Um, in the past week, emotions have been really high in Sierra Leone and among Sierra Leoneans in the diaspora. And one thing we I know about public speaking, now for say, or we at Olan as a communications expert, is when tensions are high, when people are most emotional, when the temperature is very high, usually not to the best time for can talk to people then, not to the best time for can, discuss certain issues because people that are not keen really ready or prepared for speak in a manner that is moderate. And maybe even you self, the person we get for talk. If you talk in the heat of the moment, it bound follow you, sitting them way go cause more harm than good. But in the week that has passed, I could definitely say ultimately not happy. I feel like for say the temperature don't calm down small, where we can me can talk the thing that way I feel like for say I need for talk, but the election in a manner where go do justice to what's not happen. And then also we go help people then for understand of a process and then for move forward. Um, to move forward. Where do we go from here? So just a quick roundup. Salon being get general elections a week ago this Saturday. Um, and in as the this past week, we only don't read the results of one of the level elections. So right now we know who was announced as the winner of the presidential election. But we to this point, 7 days later, we don't know Udana MP and we don't know Udana mayor district. I think there's some people in get district council where they elect. We don't know the results yet of those. It is expected that the electoral commission go announce today or tomorrow. It's really up to them. But as when I know what's not happening is that the electoral commission announced President Bio as the winner. We don't swear him in as president for a second 5-year term, and the vice president Jude Jallo also they don't swear him in. So we kind of get a split. We have a split country in a way, three-way split. You get the SLPP supporters them, and also people that we just believe say, the EC, the EC rights for announced President Bia as the winner, and then believe the results. You get a segment of the population with winner APC or winner APC or APC supporters them, we believe say the results we announce. We believe say the results we announce, not to the guys announce, and then you get another camp of people that we say. They don't know who that win because we have waiting the EC say, and then the fact say local and international observers then say they not be able to verify the tabulation process for believe, wait for make the able believe say the results with the electoral commission call now the guys one. So usually where election and can they happen, where you get observer then the need for able for watch for see how na the counts. And if they're able to see say all thing okay with the counting process, then they're able to say okay, the whole process, then verify them as credible, etc. etc. The local and international observers that we cancel on, we observe the election. We not see anybody yet say them be able for verify the process right through. For later able for say, okay, these results were EC announced, credible, etc. etc. So that's where we are. Right now, we don't get presidents, you not get for change. Waiting they not announce. Wait, you don't swear in somebody, you don't swear in. And but who people then feel like for say, then take this extremist view of like for say, now where this election don't be and the results or the outcome, not so waiting them feels for saying at the right thing. Like for say overnight, Usai we been there before, now been this perfect, democratic, just and lawful society. And with this election here, so now Salon don't become like, we don't overnight, we don't transition into this dark place where nothing good not get for commode. This is the worst of the worst. It is like we don't go from the most just to just this extreme injustice. And it's so interesting for you read that, because as I they watch you, people that way na APC supporters them, some people are not the diaspora and they listen to this conversation, but people the way they feel like for say we've been come up from this perfect situation and now we don't come to this imperfect situation. It's just funny to me, because the salon where me don't sabi and the salon where I don't they observe over how many years, really truly not a just place, not to a very democratic place. You know, I think that the big mistake where people that they make now for let them feel like for say wait and say some sign a democracy. Say that means say then they get election. Now in they define the democracy. But not to so we not to that they make an election democratic state or democratic country. So many different things then go into democratic consolidation, where you go say the democracy in this country, so it don't sit down fine. It don't sit down fine, right? The democracy don't sit down fine if say it consolidated, right? For we've been go from transition democracy, because after the war, we've been in a state of post-war transition. They mean they watch we people always sabi for democracy, people always sabi for but nation building, state formation. They mean they watch we in that post-war process for see what thing we need for do now where we don't come out from war, how we they transition this country from a post-war country to a consolidated democratic nation. But we've been in a period of transition. Just one of the markers them of a consolidated democracy, na free and fair elections. But that's just one. The autonomy of whether the institutions that now within the government they function on their own, independent, than they serve na other marker of a consolidated democracy. Human rights, now another marker of a consolidated democracy. Women's movements, labor movements, students' movements, that than they na marker of a consolidated democracy. Freedom of press, freedom of expression, marker of a consolidated democracy. You know, strength in institution, separation of the different arms of government, consolidated democracy. So while the election very, very important, not so that no more they define within they make a strong democracy or a consolidated democracy. The problem where we get in a salon is that consistently within we governments and they do, whether we get election or we not get election, whether they're credible or fair or not, is that consistently waiting with governments and done they do now for weaken we state institutions. The more you weaken the state institutions, the more you create strong men instead of strong institutions, the more power we give to the executive for let it able do as reign free on over institutions that we're supposed to be free of executive power. The more we strengthen the people, then the individuals, them within our government over the institution and the law, the more we weaken with democracy. Most of we 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if we want for points to democratic country there in the world, we go look at America. But look what's happened in America, January 6, 2021. They had an insurrection. People literally went to the government and tried to overthrow the government, even though Posimino lost election. So this day, you get people in America, we still, if you wake them and sleep, you ask them, who win the election and go tell you that Donald Trump win the election. This now from one of the most consolidated, democratized, strengthened institution, separation of church and state. When I talk about separation of church and state in America, now they talk about. So democratization is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. Not so just the election. The election are just one marker So wetin I want for let people they understand. Now for say, if you think say wetin happen during the election and the election results, and wetin not happen this week, nothing way for you, not a good thing for we democracy, then you get the right now, starting today, for lay you begin to think say, wetin me go able do as a citizen of Salone for lay I help for strengthen this democracy, for make a help for strengthen we institutions. And a big part of that has to do with civil society. Are you going to join organization, civil society, or form civil society organizations that will promote activism and support the strengthening of the Constitution, constitutional law, and rule of law? Are you going to raise your voice and stand up for what is right all the time, even if not to something way affects you directly or you people then? Are you going to raise your voice against injustice? Are you going to raise your voice against human rights violation? What are you going to do? Are you going to support those NGOs and institutions in Sierra Leone by mobilizing resources for them so we can strengthen them against government interference? What are you going to do? For a lot of people, the maximum way they're willing for do or give for strengthening Salon democracy now for make comments on social media. Now in doing so, then they not get for strengthening this democracy. They not get for hold people there accountable. Find the institutions then as Salon where they know for good governance, the institutions then as Salon, civil society organizations, women's organizations, labor unions, student organizations. Join those organizations and participate actively in waiting they go on at your country. Not so normal election day. We get country that we don't transition from extreme authoritarianism or dictatorship to a more consolidated democracy. Ghana USA did so right now. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, now JJ Rawlings now been there as president. He was a dictator, right? Military rule. But in Ghana, civil society organizations, the mood, you know what I mean? People that are this country, they then build their society for later able to transition from authoritarianism to a more democratic society. Is it a perfect and consolidated democracy? No, it's still shaky, Naya. Like how we shaky all side, but waiting they ensure say the process of democratization they continue is up to citizens, it's up to civil society, it's up to the press. And you go say, okay, oh, state capture, state capture. But this state capture, it happen all side. Citizens have to push back. You get for push back by participating in government. Yes, using your voice on social media is powerful, but join civil society organizations, join women's organization, join youth organizations, be a voice of change within your community, become an activist for change, raise your voice for people who have less power than you. Where Bokutin they happen at Salon, people and they reach out, oh Vicky, for talk, you for talk, you for talk, you for talk. Like for say now people that like me no more get voice. No, 10 being day we just like you are not being get voice, are not being get platform. And how I able to transition from a place where I feel like for say I not get voice to a place where I feel like for say I get voice and platform. Now because I begin use me voice, I begin use me writing, I begin the talk, but the thing there where I they see where I not like na me country. Now so I take for build me platform. Not to past thing affects me no more on an individual basis before I talk. It's all up to you. You can there are social movements and on day, I mean Indonesia then get 1998, then go from authority, was it 1998 or 1999? They went from authoritarianism to democracy. What you do? Because the economy collapsed. People then fed up. The economy collapsed. People then fed up. Excuse me, stop. There are kids outside playing. The economy collapsed. And people took over and they said we need a democracy because the state of the economy, the state of the economy, they impact whether or not you're able to maintain you democratic institutions, whether or not you're able to maintain your democracy. Economic growth and development, they affect the democracy. So it's very, very important for all man look to themselves, for make you begin to ask yourself, truly, before the election, before this outcome, what was I doing as a citizen to improve the state of this democracy? What organizations did I join? What campaigns did we lead? What conversations did we drive? What were we doing to hold government accountable when things happen? How many instances of civil disobedience? How many sit-ins did we have? How many marches did we hold? What did we do before we got here? What did we do? Most of us weren't doing anything. We weren't doing anything. For weakening institutions, not a one-day business, just like how strengthening institutions, not a one-day business. It's really, really a constant and consistent thing you get for engage with your government beyond cost, beyond the pull-ins, beyond the fets, beyond the sharing of negative propaganda, positive. Like, you have to really, really be paying attention to waiting they go on our government. Not so easy thing. No authoritarian regime, not a give, like they take the power, I give people them for free. No injustice, not a give way to justice, like just, here's something unjust. Oh, justice. Oh, please I'm just going to do the right thing. It doesn't work that way. People have to press for progress. You have to insist. You have to persist. The country where you dream of, nobody else not there for come on any other side for can like create this strength in democracy or for consolidate this democracy. There's no magic to it. A lot of people then they're like, hey God, hey we Salon, hey look how we don't be just after the election. There's just this feeling. Some people then they promote this idea like for say now darkness, now they can't okay, and soon and this don't be now. Let's sleep well. I hope say the economy go worse, when I go starve, when I go die, when they suffer, then when I go sabi. As if to say, if APC been win this election overnight, now paradise salon go down turn so. Really? All that was going to happen if there was a change of government was that a new group of people, maybe from different parts of the country, go get power for do exactly what SLPP done they do the last 5 years. That's all that would have happened. Who is in APC? The same. Remember. I know I will not forget. This APC people the way you they watch so. Now then are the same one during Ebola. We take Ebola money, then feed themselves. We people then die for nothing. No accountability. This APC will be one council. This APC will be one council. Now they we all watch President Koroma pulling vice president, where people then talk, then say, then go na Supreme Court. What did Supreme Court say? It say the president gets supreme authority. Say that court say go end na ECOWAS. Samsumana win. That is the APC that we are talking about. The APC that saw sat over an economic boom, went from 0% growth or negative growth to 20 something percent, 23% economic growth due to iron ore. Points for me the partner salon where you go tell me, say, you see that development where all that money they bring kind side waiting and call. Show me where it is. Let we not begin to make like for say we've gone from some states of like don't become nostalgic or romanticize an APC leadership because you know of what happened with the elections. This was always two equally choices between two problematic and equally revolting political parties. This is the APC. I remember APC be even banned at one point. Say people then jog together for Gona Beach. Under APC, policemen then been banned people then for jog from eastern to western for Gona Beach. Now don't forget, you could not, them don't ban gathering to go to the beach, to run together. It was against the law. So what you have to be thinking about is not APC laws, What you have to be thinking about is, how did we get here and how do we move from here? How did we get here and how do we move from here? It requires collective responsibility. It's the only way. Collective responsibility. A lot of the people who were in the Renaissance movement, we've been tell we but the change for camp, they're not all rebel. We Renaissance leaders are now rebels. Rebels of rigging and roguing. These are the same people, the same individuals. When we talk to we about social justice, the same individuals when we talk to we about democracy and human rights and accountability. They are now the powers of oppression. They are now the voices of intellectual dishonesty. But when I still they like and share and comment on social media, when I still they celebrate them. Even though they don't betray Una. So we need collective responsibility. You need collective responsibility. Nobody not get for come out any side for can fix salon for you. I am very disappointed that we can't say that our elections were free and fair and credible. I'm very disappointed that the observers didn't get an opportunity to participate through the entire process. President Bio, as far as the results we may see from new, President Bio got a majority of the votes in the first round. That's what I saw, which is in line with what I believe happens in most countries. The incumbent party, usually, maybe in like 2 or 3 times on this continent, 9 people possibly not incumbents don't lose election. John Mahama lose election at Ghana, and I think in Zambia as well. Those are like the 2 times I can remember. I don't know any other time where it happened at the continent over 60 something years of independence. I don't know who would have won in the second round. I don't know that. But from the first round, what I saw is that President Bio had a majority of the votes. according to new. Now then data we believe. I'm not going able to believe the EC their own data because, quite frankly, no observers cannot verify. So I can't believe that. So we don't know. But as a Sierra Leonean citizen, this is not the first time a government institution has done something. Oh, people are reminding me that Goodluck Jonathan also lost as an incumbent. But Goodluck Jonathan had taken over from Yar'Adua, who had died. Remember? Goodluck Jonathan took over from Yar'Adua. He completed Yar'Adua's first term, and then he was reelected for a second term. He tried to run again. I didn't say no, una party be non do 2 times, then Pulande. I believe that's what happened. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that, like, this is not the first time in my lifetime that a Sierra Leonean institution has made a decision on a national level that I disagreed with. And I do not believe that it would be the last time. When the Supreme Court said that EBK had supreme authority, I did not agree with that ruling. But as a Sierra Leonean citizen, where the courts don't talk, it don't talk. What can I do? I write me rights. I say this is a slippery slope, where we're giving too much power to leadership. The blog post day. And then I moved on with my life, and I continue to be the active citizen that I am, because that's who I am. And that's how I participate in my country's democracy. I use my voice. Where President Bio free LAC, Iggy and pardon, I was against that. I spoke up for it. Is he still free? Yes. It's not the first time, right? I wanted a 30% mandate that would make sure that a minimum 30% for women representation in government was the law, instead of giving institutions the option. Did that happen? No, not so that's in pass. We didn't pass the law for the Gary Act. They don't make them mandatory. Then give them the option. As a Sierra Leonean citizen, I don't become any less Sierra Leonean because the outcome, an institution in Sierra Leone makes a decision that I don't agree with. Right now in the US, the Supreme Court just ruled against affirmative action. I support affirmative action. I've not seen anybody that is a friend in the US, as we talk about affirmative action, say, okay, well, I hope America burns. I hope say all man they suffer because they don't cancel affirmative action. The Supreme Court just ruled against debt forgiveness for student loans. I was hoping to get debt forgiveness for my student loans. Does that mean that now I want America to be destroyed because an American institution has made a decision that I don't agree with? No. When Trump banned people from coming to the US from certain nations, did I disagree with it? Yes. What did I do? I contributed money to the ALCU, so that lawyers who work on immigration reform and support immigrants coming to the US will have more money to do so. When Elizabeth Warren was running for the primaries for the Democrats, I gave money because I believed in her progressive policies. So part of it is raising your voice and talking. The other part is to really, really ensure that as you talk now, so you participate in the democracy, you take action. Now, so you participate, you take action, not to just for talk. But waiting, no one for you, and I'm not interested in. Now, this narrative, like for say, had APC won, we were headed, the Sierra Leone we would have woken up to was this more just country, was this more perfect union, as American would say. No. Most of the leaders in the APC today were complicit in weakening the same institutions that SLPP has now used against them. And if there's any lesson to learn here, is that whatever you begin in your administration, the policy way they can next, they can perfect them for you. We've seen it before. Albert Magai, Naimi starts the one party states movement. Where Shaki Kami say, wait, you don't know how to do this thing. Let me show you. You started. I will show you how to do it. And it is that consistent step back, right? Because we consistently take these steps back. Now they make we continue not a progress. Because the political leadership in both parties, they not get one agenda for development for Salon where you go say, no matter who comes in, okay, let us agree on disagree on a political level, right? But whoever comes in, let we not disintegrate the thing where we need for make the country progress. I can understand different kinds of like policies, government policies, different government policies, right? So you go say, okay, me they focus on this sector, you they focus on that sector. I can understand that. But what you are not able to understand now the continual like weakening of the institutions then we for make up the government. Let we left for weakening the government. And you know, there are people who are asking, and I think legitimately so. This is a legitimate question. People are asking, okay, now President Bio don't win this election. Are we to expect that they're going to change the constitution and give him 3 terms? Say, okay, presidents can be president for 3 terms. Are they going to say, okay, now there are no limits on no limits on how long a president can serve? Is that what we're moving towards? I think that that's a legitimate question. And frankly, I don't have the answer. I do not have the answer. But I will tell you that under APC, there was an opportunity there was a constitutional review process. And the APC had the opportunity to close a lot of loopholes that would have strengthened our democracy and our constitution, and they chose not to do it. So if we now can't find ourselves in a situation where SLPP gets, I don't know what's going to happen with the MP situation, but if it happens to be that SLPP have an MP and an SLPP majority, and they go in and they change the law and they say no limits to presidential terms, then that becomes the law. And it is up to you, again, the Sierra Leonean people, to decide, is this what you will accept? All of the countries that we don't transition from authoritarianism to democracy, not to international foreigners, they can do and for them. If change is to last, if our democracy is to grow, if it's to be consolidated, no EU, no US, no England, no nothing, no nobody get for fix them. It is domestic actors, you within the country, Sierra Leoneans inside Salon, now then get for push for progress for Salon. Because any side when you they say na foreigners that you want for can fix your problem for you, na foreigners and this, na foreigners and that, you know they ever develop. You know they ever get peace. Look at Afghanistan, look at Iraq. That's everything. Look at Mali. That's everything you need to know about what happens when foreigners intervene in domestic matters. So yes, you know, I have amplified a lot of what the international observers have said, because I think it is important, because that was their job and their role to observe. If they say we can't for observe, then the last minute and not be allowed we observe. It is important that people know that they weren't allowed to do their job. But this does not mean that it is them that will come and fix our country for us. It is not possible. It is not possible. One thing we don't ask me One thing we don't ask me pan all these things over the years. Any 10 way Simbi na salon, you go see APC, they tag EU, they tag America, they tag the embassy, they tag this one. I can't watch it. Da, 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 da. Do you know why they can't tag civil society organizations? They can't tag our institutions because when I not be no strength in their institutions, then they for later now able cancel you aid. So now just get for go big outside. Una get for go big na do because the local institutions that una not been strengthened. So una self no say you can't even speak to the local institutions and civil society in Sierra Leone because una be not poto day. So now wait till una not be done support and create. Now they now una get for turn. But it's not their role and their responsibility. It's not their role or not their responsibility. But can't help we mess. This is on us. We have to take responsibility. We have to take responsibility. Personally, over the last couple months, like the last month, especially the last month, I've been getting this feeling, say, within the APC, you get people that we don't call on side on the corner. They don't give them small things, say, yeah, wanna fix this thing from the inside for me. That's my, because certain moves and the way they make in the lead up to the election, where I'm just like, why would you do this? Why? I was like, oh, okay, then go don't call them and say, take this small thing. When I wait, stay the next one. Yeah, we'll get your force. It just didn't make sense to me. It felt like they were self-sabotaging internally. And now, they're not even sure if they're going to take this issue with the EC, the Electoral Commission. APC not even sure what they go do, if they go to court, if they're not get for going to court, if they go fight for justice, if they're not get for fight for justice. Una no fights, no, una no fights. Una do anything una wants. Don't do it. Don't go to court and like try to really like make the system, force the system to work. Not do am. Sit down. Say, okay, then go don't do na something. I don't trust you people. I'm not saying I'm gonna put phone on a corner. I'm not saying I'm gonna put phone on a corner. That's why you don't want to go the same court system where una be not destroyed. Now all of a sudden you're afraid to go there to go and seek redress. Is it not your court? Is that not the court you left for us? Why do you not want to go there? Is this not part of your thing that you were doing? Why don't you want to go there anymore? Oh, okay, there's no justice in the court system. Oh, okay, right, of course. In all this time, so many things that don't happen. APC has had ample opportunity long before we got to the elections to join civil society, to really like support, people, local citizens, to empower them so that they can rise. They're not going to do that. Nothing. They were just sitting back. 5 years. 5 years, we did not really have proper opposition in our country. Let's be honest. The only time they made noise was to protect themselves. The loudest noise where APC make these 5 years, now be over that commission of inquiry. That was the most noise that APC made. And who was it about? It was about self-preservation. Where COVID been a salon, hospitals, they're not being get medicine, they're not being get this. I didn't hear anything from anybody. I didn't hear APC people making noise, blah, blah, blah. How can we save our people? What can we do? Mobilize? Just nothing. Because if they had, I would have heard. It was citizens, individual citizens, taking action to fill the gap. If your opposition cannot work with civil society for the common goal of the masses and the majority, you not get forever ever be able for like get a social movement for bring change, because people can see that you're only in it for yourself. You're only in it for yourself. One of the most powerful things that I witnessed in Ghana was there was a time several years ago before this administration being elected under John Mahama, blackouts been done boku na Ghana. Blackouts been done boku. Lights really not been there. Doom saw na any color na yaso. And so as citizens were like talking about it. You remember saying they get a movement in America where they call Occupy Wall Street. You remember where like people that may go protest now Wall Street against the global downturn, like all the corruption in the financial sector in America. Remember there was Occupy Wall Street, then go there, they protest people and they sleep down now Wall Street. There was a big protest in America in New York City. Where doom saw begin they happen in Ghana, they created Occupy Ghana, right? A social movement of lawyers, different cross sectors in the society for push for letting like fix them country. You know what the NPP people then do? Then go infiltrate that movements, the Occupy Ghana movement and the Doomsaw movement. Where then they make protests, they all in a street with the people and they protest together with the people for issues that the people then care about. So when it come for election now, it was so easy for them for later win because a lot of people that may not see them like for say, okay, then they do something, they mean they will sweep on this movement. Granted, we don't have kind of power, social corruption, but that's besides the point. The point I'm trying to make is that they understood that they had to be part of a social movement. Why is when the APC is in opposition, they do not join social movements? They're not part of trying to bring change to the country. All we ever hear is when it's time for elections. We have to move beyond that. And if una say where this government form, una no get for gonna court for go try for like really against this outcome, it's up to the APC. But who is it going to affect? It's the APC. Una do it soon I want. It's up to you guys. If you say in these next 5 years, you're not going to participate in civil society, you're not going to support social movements, you're not going to push pressure for water and better healthcare and, fight against hunger and women's health and women's rights and, job creation. If you as an opposition are not going to be working on these things, and una they hope say in 5 years back, people then go vote for una kushe. Because this young generation of people, they want something back. They want something back. They not just want for the go and line dance for no more. They want to benefit. They want to benefit. What can you do in opposition to support progress and development in Sierra Leone? So that when people go to the polls the next time, if there are elections again, I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you. We go see when we reach there. But what can you do in opposition to support progress and growth in Sierra Leone? And for the citizens, same question. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do now as a citizen of Sierra Leone to press for progress? You are free to fall on in full foods. You are free to leave the country. You're free to do whatever you want. But if you say you're not going to do nothing past stay the next election, it left by you. It left by you. No progress not get for come other than the one we push for. No change not get for come other than the one we push for. And change has to be more than just change of political power. It's about social justice. It's about human rights. It's about accountability. What are you going to do? Like you say, all Tina Salona 72 hour in a 2. You guys are quick to forget. Left we case give God. Okay. Maybe, in all lights are the books for lay, the country better this millennia. Something pass in another 100 years. And if that's what you have decided, then fine, no problem. We will just be till we die done. But please believe that your democratic rights will continue to be eroded. Your democratic institutions will continue to be weakened if you do nothing, if you say nothing, if you left your case give God. That's it. Me, I am retiring. I'm retiring because I think, say, for now, it is in my best interest to retire. I am transitioning to being a talk show host and a media personality and a lifestyle influencer, and I'm leaving you guys to handle the national discourse and, do what y'all gotta do. I'm retired because I'm tired of people always like looking to me to use my platform and my voice. Talk. I'm going to retire, please. Tire for talk. Not to me wondering other people than you have a voice, you have a platform, use it, engage, join civil society, join organizations. If the one the way civil society organizations the way they not fit you, go fend your own. Go start your own. I'm gonna close this with a story. So last week I've been there Sanda Loco by Kamalo. And we go to this village where they down to the end of one community. It's probably one of the most remote communities that were there. And I mean, they go there for go see an engagement between the community and one NGO where they work on legal access and environmental rights. And this community, they try for figure out how for officially set bylaws for govern the everyday life. It not be more than the number of people in the village not reach 300. Most of the people in the village are picking them because one Korean. They live off the land. Then get one grand radio station where they go there, and one radio station where they come up Kamakwe. And I sit down there and I watch them, they talk, but whose kind law then they want put for which kind thing? Okay, if person court stick with enough for court. If person thief person go thief food na person land. If person Kongosa, then what's it called? Nafiki? Is it Nafiki? Pantimini? I don't know what they call them, but I think it was Nafiki. Then they say like, what's not the cost for Nafiki and what's not the punishments. And I mean they set them bylaws them. And I watched all of these people, different age group. They talk about the kind of society where them want for living at a small village, waiting okay and waiting not okay. Right? And it man be there, the elders be there, oh man. And then talk and they arrange and then discuss. And it was just so, you understand? Like it was for me, I not ever like then and then kind of meeting and they or for see that process they at such a that base level. But it was very, very democratic and participatory. So then talk about waiting at if you cost person this, they were setting the bylaws and it was really, really great. And these were things that them being they come up for themselves, right? And each person was participating and they were playing a part in their own community. And it was just really, really amazing. Right? And in the end, the thing that we then get for end up with, not thing that way they all don't agree with. So when you get for meet you get for they like, oh, okay. Now we all be don't agree on this thing. You understand? And so my thing is like democracy not a thing where they need for they need for can teach we, not salon. All of we people then common our democratic societies there. Usai, where you go even pong at the most remote village, then they practice and then they practice democracy in the most remote village. This not a foreign thing for we. Foreign thing not day. We able talk problem. We able people that we not agree. People that we get difference of opinions and views, they're able to cancel one word. We able fix salon. We able. I not believe this thing like oh the country. I not believe this narrative say it don't well some kind irreparable way all man for full and full foods. We are not strangers to democracy. We are not even strangers to accountability. Like I said, now that village, now accountability, now I mean they talk about. So my point is, this is up to you. Someone is saying, and I think this is important, you cannot encourage people to use their voices and reference movements like Occupy Wall Street without talking about the violence and barbarism against Sierra Leoneans. True, but violence and barbarism also happens against Americans. From where this entire time, we talk about American democracy, has there not been violence and repression against Black people, against minorities, against women, against LGBTQAI plus? My point here is that there's no perfect society, there's no perfect state, there's no place where the democracy is there's no perfect. It is a process. Democratization is a process. But whether we move closer to it or further away from it is based on what people do in the society. We all saw the Black Lives Matter movement, right? Against brutality. The most democratized place in the world. I'm not saying that the fight for progress in Sierra Leone is one that is going to be peaceful. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be peaceful. But whatever way it is depends on the Sierra Leonean people. There's a lot of work to do. Basically is my point. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do. But it's not just what happens on election day. It's what happens now. It's what happens now. If 5 years from now, you want to be in a place that is more democratized, you want to have a better democracy in 5 years, that work starts today. You can make it difficult for this government to be undemocratic. As a citizen of this country, as social groups, as civil society, it is possible for you to force this government to be more democratic. It is possible for you to force our institutions to do better. You file court case, you lose, appeal. Can and take go the Supreme Court. If you lost it, okay. Go find other way, other loophole for comeback, for conflict, for change, and press for progress. It is possible. Social movements are possible. But what I'm saying is the answer for progress in Sierra Leone is definitely not APC. The answer is not APC. That's definitely not the answer. Are you kidding me? When did APC become synonymous with progress? How? How did we get there? When did APC become the party of, no. These political parties are two sides of the same coin. What I actually dream of, to be really honest with you, I'll tell you. What I actually dream of is the rise of more regional political parties. What we saw in 2018 with the rise of C4C and not PMDC, the rise of C4C, and I believe there was another party as well. I can't remember now. Not NGC, but after C4C, there was another party. I feel like there were two parties. What I think actually to break the APC LCPP dichotomy is for there to be more regional political parties. so that either the APC or the SLPP, right, to get a majority, they have to continuously co-nanny and form partnerships with with other regional political parties. And then those parties must remain true to their constituencies, so that the progress, you can push one, you can all the one that way big pass you the and over what's under water. So una can form more of a coalition within the government. They need to be coming to you. That's how I feel like so I don't think that we're ever going to have, as far as I'm concerned, a third big force political party. But it's possible for us to have two smaller regional forces in different parts of the country that can destabilize the hegemony that SLPP and APC have and help us push for more participation in different regions and also just more representation. Yeah, we need more. Someone is saying I should talk about how Bio rigged the elections. I don't have any proof that President Bio rigged the elections. I do not, so I can't talk about that. The only thing I can talk about is the fact that international observers say they weren't able to observe the tabulation of the results. Therefore, they cannot verify that the results are credible. I have no proof or evidence that President Bio rigged the election. So I cannot say that. Do I think that Kone is a man of integrity? I do not. I think that, like Akon with the con, I think Kone is a con. That's my personal opinion. That's my opinion. Okay? It's in his name. Anybody when you see get con, name, con. You have to listen to that con, what it means in the English language, con. You have to listen, con. Person tell you say in name, Akon, Kone. That is, you have to be paying attention. I've created a new noun for the Sierra Leone English, revised Sierra Leone English Dictionary 2023. The noun is Kone, K-O-N-N-E-H. To pronounce it, K-O-N, con, hyphen, N-E-H, ne, Konne. And this noun, which you're free to use after today, means a dishonest or unprincipled person. Synonyms: charlatan, Akon, as in the artist that you know, a dastard, or a villain. For example, how to use it. Don't expect them to do the right thing. Once a Kone, always a con. You can find this in the revised Sierra Leone English Dictionary 2023 edition. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I've said, like most people, oh, peace na salon, peace for salon. Yeah, we want that. And other people have said, you can't have peace without justice. I think you can have a semblance of peace, and while you're working towards a more just state. So it's not because I don't think we don't need justice. I believe we need justice. But you can't have justice at all, a fight for it, if there's no peace. For me, if you don't have peace, you can't do anything. So let's fight for justice, absolutely, but within the laws that we have. And then when the laws no longer serve us, let's work to change those laws. That's what I believe. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend.